Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm going to be talking to you about why you need to craft your vision. So, what is your vision? It is your purpose, it is your guiding light, it is your compass. So, when things are working, when things aren't working, you always have something to hold on to. You've got that vision in front of you. You know why you're teaching, you know why you're doing what you're doing. It is also your compass. So, when decisions come up and you're not sure what to do, you can always go back to your vision to guide your way. So this is going to free up a tremendous amount of mental energy because instead of for every little decision, do I do this? Do I do that? Well, what most aligns with my vision? There's your answer. And for the bigger decisions too, it's guiding you. You're still going to have those difficult decisions that you have to make, but it is going to be a lot easier for you to make those difficult decisions if you think to yourself, well, what aligns with my vision? What's my purpose for being here? What do I see? What do I see for my students? How do I see myself implementing my vision? It's going to give you a compass and direction for where you're going to go. Finally, you really want to develop a vision because it lets you others know what you stand for. So your students are going to know that you have their very best interest at heart. Your colleagues, your principal, your administrators, they're going to understand too, not be able to push you around so much because you are going to be able to articulate why you do what you do. Without a vision, none of these things are really fully functional or possible. So we're going to get into how to start crafting your vision. It's going to be an evolving thing. It's not going to be static. As you continue to teach, it's going to grow over time, and that's great. That's how it should be. But they're going to align to your true values. Those things are not going to change. So uh, other things, circumstances might change with COVID, circumstances might change with your district or organization, but your fundamental values that align with your vision, those things are going to be steady, they're going to be constant. So let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen here. Crafting your vision, again, it's going to give you a sense of purpose, it will guide your decisions, and will show others what you stand for. Here's a picture of Lin-Manuel Miranda's Hamilton saying, if you stand for nothing, Bert, what do you fall for? So I think that's very important to remember. If you do not clearly communicate what you stand for, why you're doing the things that you're doing, you're going to get pushed around. That is what you do not want. You cannot get pushed around and be as fully effective as you could be otherwise if you were really clear on what you stand for. All right, so some questions to get you started with crafting your vision. So I want you to think about, what do you want your students to know? This means, what do you want your students to know when they're with you? And also, what do you want your students to know when they leave you? So this, for me, I want my students to know that they can find answers if they really work for it. If they really use their curiosities, if they keep asking questions, if they follow their heart, if they follow their gut instincts, I want them to know that they can do what they set their minds to. What do you want your students to do? So again, this goes, what do you want your students to do with you? It could be for a particular day, it could be for a particular lesson, or it could be broad. What do you want your students to generally do when they see you? And then how do you want your students to feel? So again, with you and beyond, I want my students to feel really empowered, really capable. So think about what you want your students to ultimately feel by the end of the lesson, by the end of the day, and by the time that they leave you and move on to other teachers. What do you believe is the purpose of education? And what do you believe is your specific role as an instructor? So it gets a bit philosophical, but I think that we're not asking these really, really big questions. You know, in education, we're so busy on that treadmill, focusing on keeping up day to day with day to day demands. We're not really stepping back very often and saying, well, what is our role? What is our role within the bigger picture? We need to step back and kind of reframe that for ourselves, remind ourselves, what is our belief in the true purpose of education? And then what do we believe is our role within that education system? Finally, what specific strengths do you bring to the table? What makes you different than all the other teachers students are going to have? It's an important question to ask yourself because it's going to guide your direction with your students, and your students are going to find a renewed sense of purpose as well. When they come to you, they know exactly why you're different. They know exactly what to expect when they're with you. And again, if you have a clear vision for yourself, you are going to directly and indirectly convey that to your students. They're going to know what you're about. They're going to trust you. It's going to be much easier to build a rapport and trust with those students. So here is a part of my vision. So this is taken from the Hippocratic Oath. I believe that we first have a responsibility to do no harm. I know it sounds obvious, but so many people walk away with traumatic experiences with teachers. Almost everyone I know has at least one traumatic experience with a teacher where they were humiliated by the teacher, shamed by the teacher, something that they will carry with them for the rest of their lives. So if you take one thing away, do no harm. How can you put the structures in place in your daily life where you are more likely to do no harm to students? So giving yourselves plenty of breathing space, giving yourself breaks, making sure that you are doing whatever you can so you are not on edge and in that reactive state where you possibly could say something or do something that you regret. That's a huge part of it. So I'm going to read you my Hippocratic Oath. I swear to fulfill, to the best of my ability and judgment, this covenant. I will respect the knowledge of those who taught me, and gladly share such knowledge with those who are to follow. I will remember that there is art to educating as well as science, and that warmth understanding may outweigh the standardized test results and graded student performances. I will not be ashamed to say, I know not, nor will I fail to call in my colleagues when the skills of another are needed for true learning. I will respect the privacy of my students, for their problems are not disclosed to me, that the world may know. I will remember that I do not teach a number, a percentile, but a human being whose life circumstances may affect the person's ability to learn and how they learn on a day-to-day basis. My responsibility includes these related problems if I am to teach my students. I will remember that I remain a member of society with special obligations to all my fellow human beings. If I do not violate this oath, may I enjoy life and art, respected while I live, and remembered with affection thereafter. May I always act so as to preserve the finest traditions of my calling, and may I long experience the joy of teaching for those who seek my help. I hope this helps. I hope that you begin thinking about and crafting your vision. What is going to be your legacy?